Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Cade Bonsall, and once again, I'm joined by my friend Chris Moore, and this is going to be our review for Prisoners from 2013. So, hey Chris,
Hey, how you doing?
good. So, Prisoners, what do you think of this movie? Is it a film that you like enjoy a lot, or is it something that you're just kind of okay on, or what are your thoughts on this movie?
Well, being the person I am, I'm not a huge horror or suspenseful kind of guy who likes these kind of films. This was actually referred to me by a director who was looking for a particular type of character. So I he suggested this film. I watched it. Now, personally, I wouldn't go out of my way to find this film, but because I had to, I actually enjoyed the film, and I'm glad I did. I enjoyed the film. I thought the performances were great. I recommend it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, so yeah, we have a bunch of things to talk about with this movie. And I think one of the best things that comes to Prisoners would have to be, I think the story for this film is actually really great because it's a mystery story, which I mean, mysteries are always fun, but it feels a lot more believable in some ways. Like it's what you would expect a realistic case like this to be about, especially a missing persons case. And a lot of times, well, maybe not a lot, but sometimes mysteries they can feel a bit they can get convoluted at times because it's not clear what direction it's going in, but that doesn't feel like the case with this movie at all. I think it feels very fresh and the mystery keeps you gripped and it keeps you guessing as well.
Yeah, I think, well, that's the thing. It stays consistent all the way throughout the entire film. You got the family, it doesn't really, in the beginning, it doesn't delve on the people who are the antagonists of the film. It plays more on the family. You get to know, you get to care about everyone. And then it kind of goes into what's happening, what's going to happen, and whatnot. And yeah, it stays concise throughout the entire film, and that I definitely appreciate. Some films nowadays are all over the place. This is definitely some good writing.
Oh yeah, it definitely is good writing. And what I think is great about the fact that it's a mystery story is, about these two missing kids. I think that it's a lot more than just a mystery film. It also is a family drama because of this and is focusing on both families. And I think that it focuses on the families as much as it does the police perspective in that way. And I think that because of that, there's also a kind of a second mystery in this as well, because aside from what happens with the families, we also have Paul Dano's character Alex, and we're trying to figure out, did he really do it? Did he not do it? There's that big question. So there's really more than one mystery going on than just the missing persons case. There's also the did he or didn't he type of approach as well.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of cool about this particular film is that there's several different things that happen with that throughout the film that you would almost find to be acceptable, but obviously you can't do it. Like, the one with Hugh Jackman's character doing what he does to find out where his kids are. That creates another mystery because now that person's missing inside the one film. And then you have definitely, Jake Gyllenhaal's character trying now solve multiple different things happening here and how he has to handle it. There's definitely a lot of stuff happening, but it's done very consistently. It's written very well when it comes to all these different things taking place.
Oh, for sure. And I think that aside from how great the plot is for this movie, I think that the performances are also probably one of the best things about the film as well. Because, aside from the performances, we just look at the cast for this movie. The cast for this film is just fantastic. I mean, we have Hugh Jackman, Jake Gyllenhaal, Maria Bello, Viola Davis, Terrence Howard, Melissa Leo, and Paul Dano. So many great actors in one film. It just feels so great to see like all these amazing performances in one movie. And I think in terms of the lead performances, Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal really give powerful lead performances in this film, and it really keeps you invested because of how great they are and how believable they make the characters feel.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is like nowadays, Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman, we're used to them in superhero movies. They all play superheroes or supervillains or whatnot. So you're used to seeing a completely different character being portrayed by these actors. And then to see them in a more serious, suspenseful kind of film like this it's like, oh wow, the amount of range that these people have when it comes to these characters is really awesome.
Yeah, of course. And I think that aside from Jackman and Gyllenhaal, I think another really great standout would have to be Paul Dano. I think that he just always it feels like he mostly plays more unsettling characters. I feel like that's what he often plays, and I kind of get why because he's really good at it. And I think this relates to his characters like the Riddler and a bunch of others. But I think that in this movie, especially, he really he brings a very creepy presence to the character of Alex, and but also kind of an innocent presence in the character as well. And that's kind of what relates to what I was saying earlier about how it makes you question, did he or didn't he?
Exactly. And throughout this, throughout his particular storyline, the way he portrays the character as one of the kids that was adopted and, tortured and all that kind of stuff, and then to be an adult now, or somewhat adult, he's portraying that, okay, we can't talk about this because of this, and now he's innocent, but he also seems guilty. Throughout that entire performance, he just nails it. So yeah, I mean that interaction between him and Hugh Jackman's character, and even Terrence Howard's character as well, because he jumps in there. It's you almost want to believe that he's the problem, that he was the kidnapper, and
Right. Yeah.
you almost want to be like, okay, yeah, then what these two guys are doing is acceptable. But then when you find out, you're like, oh no, oh no. But
Yeah.
no, it's acted very
Exactly.
well.
Yeah, it is. And I think that in when it comes to the acting as well, I think Melissa Leo is a standout as well because, throughout most of the movie, she portrays Alex's aunt and she comes off as just this very caring and gentle woman, and she portrays that very well. But then when you get to the end, when you find out she's the one who's been behind everything, she portrays this cold-hearted sort of psychopath just so well. She just makes that transition immediately, and it works so well. That's because of how great an actor she is.
Yeah, I mean, from the beginning, I didn't think she was the actual antagonist of this film. Like I believe she was just someone a part of it. And now, yeah, when I got closer to the end, I'm like, no way. Okay, you guys got me.
Yeah,
Well done.
exactly. But I think that aside from the acting and the plot, I think another great thing about this movie would have to be the atmosphere. And I think that the atmosphere of this film feels very, a lot of people have issues with darker films that feel very unsettling and eerie and bleak and whatnot, but I actually do enjoy them because on some level they feel a little bit more believable, if that makes any sense. And they also feel a lot more like I can if it's something that I can take a little bit more seriously than a lighter approach for a film because I don't know if you feel the same way.
Yeah, no, I do. I like from the beginning of the film, you get that like you don't know when or what's going to happen until it does, but it keeps the same kind of atmosphere throughout the whole entire thing. So it leaves you on a suspenseful. Is it going to happen now? Is it going to happen now? You'll never know, and that's the realism behind that is spot on. So I think the atmosphere for it was definitely captured what the film was trying to portray.
Yeah, and I think aside from how great the tone is, I think the setting adds a lot to the atmosphere. I love how the movie took place in Pennsylvania. I liked how it wasn't in a big city or anything. I liked how it was this kind of like smaller reserved town and how I loved how it was winter. I think that really added a lot to the atmosphere as well because it made you feel, I think because of the cold and the ice and the snow and everything, it made it feel a lot more, it felt like such a cold atmosphere in that sense.
Exactly.
But aside from that, I think that one of the best things is just that about this movie that's great is how well it's made. And remember, the director of this movie is Denis Villeneuve, and he is definitely proven himself as one of the, I think, better directors of our generation right now because he's also made, aside from this, he made Blade Runner 2049, he made Sicario, he made Dune. He's definitely got a good record. And I would say that although those movies are great and all, I think that this is probably one of his top two films, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. He definitely portrays the seriousness of a lot of through all those other films, but this one I feel like he steps into a completely different world, and instead of it being more of those sci-fi kind of films, you're looking at something a little bit it's more at home.
Yeah, it is more at home. And I think that this, aside from, Blade Runner and Dune. I think this movie and Sicario are definitely more realistic films than those. They're a lot more thrillers, whereas the others are more sci-fi. And you can tell how well how comfortable he is in that genre with that type of approach in film. So yeah, that's how he manages to create such a great film in that way. But I also think one of the best things about the movie would have to be the cinematography. And remember, the movie's shot by Roger Deakins, who has also proven himself to be a very gifted cinematographer. And he's also worked with Denis on a bunch of his other films, like the ones we just discussed. And yeah, Roger Deakins, I don't think he's ever made a movie where he shot it where it was shot poorly. He just always manages to capture a film so great and shoot it beautifully. And that relates to some of his other films like Skyfall and No Country for Old Men. He's just such a brilliant cinematographer.
Yeah, a lot of the shots, like when there's this very suspenseful or a very serious tone, he knows how to get the full picture of everything so that you can feel it as well. Like there's an emotion you're supposed to feel while these characters are speaking or are feeling something. You're gonna feel it too, and the way he shoots it, you do feel it.
Yes. And yeah, I think that aside from the cinematography and the directing, I think that another great thing would have to be the editing. And I think editing when it comes to a film is really important because you need to make sure that everything flows very well. It can't just feel, okay, we move on to this scene. Okay, we move on to this scene. The editing works because it keeps you because of how suspenseful it is. You just think, okay, are we going to move on to another tense scene? Are we going to do that? No, we actually have a scene that's not so tense, and then we're back into a tense situation. And so, yeah, I think that that really adds a lot to the film as well.
Yeah, definitely. The editing, I mean, you can do all the other things correctly. If the editing isn't where it is, then it's not gonna come together. Editing is like the armor on this film. If it failed, then I don't think it'd still tell a story, but you could be lost. And this in a particular story, you don't want to be lost.
Right, exactly. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all my pros for the film. Why don't we get into our cons so far? Do you have any big cons with this film or little ones at all?
There was a couple that I thought. I mean, I think one of them would have to be the fact that some story I think should have been implemented in. I think some things were missing. I think the part with what's his name? Paul Dano,
Yep.
his character, I understand why and where and whatnot, but I think with his particular character, there could have been more between him and Hugh Jackman. Regardless, he's just getting pummeled, but like I think there could have been more there. What would you say? Information wise to kind of fill out his character more. I understand what happened to him, but I don't know. I think for that particular scene when they're in the bathroom and stuff's happening, I think more could have made it feel more like Hugh Jackman. What he's doing is wrong. Hugh Jackman knows he's doing it wrong, but he knows he wants his kid back.
Right.
And then Paul Dano's character is like, I understand you want your kid back. There's a reason why I can't say what I know. If there was something there, I think that could have been a little bit more. I like great scene, but I think there could have been more information presented there.
No, yeah, I agree. I think we could have learned a little bit more about his character. I think that they probably kept that a secret because they still want to. I think if we learned too much about him, then the mystery probably would have been over sooner.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, though, is like Hugh Jackman's character is committing a crime.
Yes.
So if he would have found out the information, what would he have done with it? Where would he go? Oh yeah, I kidnapped this kid. I beat the crap out of him. Here's the information. It doesn't look good for you, buddy. So
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I get that complaint. I think that I don't really have any big complaints with this film. I think my only like major one would have to do with the ending. Now, the ending for this film, it's not a bad ending at all. I just wish that it could have felt more. I get that it's implied that they do eventually find Hugh Jackman's character Keller when they hear the whistle blowing, but I think that it could have been I think it could have been resolved a little bit better instead of leaving it kind of ambiguous. Again, I don't have a problem with ambiguous endings, but I wasn't expecting to get an ambiguous ending from this type of film. I thought that it was going to get resolved. Maybe if they could have just opened it up and found him, that could have been the end, and we could have implied that he did end up going to prison or whatever. But And I don't know, do you kind of get what I mean?
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's almost like you hear the whistle and then there's no more Hugh Jackman's character anymore. It's just we'll bring him up, we'll talk a little bit about him. Yeah, he's going somewhere. That's it. I think for Hugh Jackman's character alone for the ending, I think it would have been more. I don't know. I think the payoff would have been more if we would have seen him down there. He was part of this, and I think that would have made it a little bit more not suspenseful, but a little bit more oh God, what's the word? Impactful
Yes.
if we had seen this detective find him where this was, because not only that, it'll open up a lot more of what this woman and her husband was doing. They find underneath this car a hole where they would toss these children. There would have been so much there opened up just for that one particular scene. And yeah, I think even though it was a good ending, I think it was a missed opportunity on that part, because that would have definitely like gotten the audience mind going.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, it didn't ruin the movie at all. It's still a
No,
good
no.
ending. But yeah, I think that on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this film?
Scale one, I'd give it a 7.
7?
7. Yeah, definitely a above average film. Definitely a good film. I'm only giving it a 7 because of just a couple of those points. The ending, like I said, would have been a lot more suspenseful, a lot more explosive had we had seen that scene, because you think you're going to see it when you hear the whistle and you see the detective, like, oh, where's that coming from? To have seen that would have been great. And then yeah, some of the dialogue between Paul Dano's character and Hugh Jackman would have been awesome, because then they would have felt, you would have seen Hugh Jackman feel that, okay, even what I'm doing is wrong. I have a point, a reason for it, and it almost just seems like Hugh Jackman is just completely just seeing red, and there's no actual human there anymore, just this guy. But yeah, other than that though, the storyline with the what's her name, Melissa Leo, with her character, you know, drugging him with that was it purple fluid, purple drink,
Yeah,
uh,
something like
all
that.
that kind of that's really good. Okay, so now you can overpower these people because they're completely drugged out. That makes sense. A lot of the stuff there's little to no plot holes.
Right.
And that's really good. But I think, well, maybe I might go up to an 8 now. I just talked myself into it. I'll go to an 8 out of 10.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I might have to go with an 8 out of 10 because, yeah, I think it's that good. I think the plot, the performances, and the filmmaking, it's really that great. And it's a film that keeps you engrossed. So, yeah, I think I would give it an 8. But yeah, anything else you wanted to say about the film before we wrap?
No, once again, like I said, I didn't I wouldn't have gone and sought out this particular film unless I was requested. But now I'm requesting everybody to watch it. Check out this film. It's a good one.
Yeah, everybody who's listening, you should really check it out. It's that good of a movie. All right, yeah, I guess that's the end of our review. Thanks so much for listening, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you later. Thanks. Bye.